Good morning, listeners, viewers, whoever, wherever you are. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
live from our. Oh, didn't want to do that. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Listening to Ammar and Jalf. Don't know what's going on, but we're here this morning.
And each week we will try and bring you some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And we will be talking shop quite literally and not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can't help. We can't help. And gosh, it's Friday, the 9th of July, and it's coming home.
It is coming home. Let's
It's
see what happens on Sunday. I think it's the closest that we've ever been, and it's kind of a euphoric feeling.
I think it's just amazing.
Mm.
It was an interesting game on, was it Wednesday or?
Well, I think. Look, we were the better team, but I think we were very fortunate to get that penalty. Very fortunate to get that rebound on the penalty. I think. I think. But then you need a bit of luck,
Yeah.
you know. Luck was on our side, and hopefully, one more day of a little bit more luck on Sunday, and I think we're quite capable to be able to do the business.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Mm.
Given the fact that, did you know that 46 of the top 50 most watched programs in Italy of football?
Oh well, I mean, as much as we're fanatical about football in the UK, the Italians are kind of just as fanatical, if not even more passionate than the English. Um, so I think it's going to be it's a battle of the two heavyweights, really. I think at the end of the day, whilst internationally, England, we may not have been a force, and it's our second final in 55 years, or the first time we've been into the finals for 55 years, but it's still recognized as being as an elite team because of the Premier League and the status and the fact that football was started in the UK and the stadiums that we have and the people that play in our country. It's by far, the Premier League is by far the most competitive, best league in the world. So obviously, England still has a huge um, status as a nation. So it is two heavyweights in the final. I was speaking to our um, the great Alan Shearer yesterday, and his view is that it's going to be an absolute epic of a final. He thinks that it's going to be very, very tight, and it could probably go all the way to penalties, and it might be like a one-goal decider.
Uh,
So I think I probably share those sentiments. Um, and the thing is, as much as you would like to say that, look, even if England are runners up, it's still a great achievement. Actually, you're not going to remember the runners up. You know who were the runners up? Ammar in the last European Cup.
France?
No, they weren't the runners up. I don't think it was France because Portugal won it, and I can't remember who. I can't actually remember who Portugal played against. That was a match where Ronaldo got injured.
When what?
When Ronaldo got injured and he had to come off.
Really?
Yeah, in the final. And then he was on the sidelines urging everybody on. So that's the thing about runners up. You know, they get lost in the
Oh, no one
wilderness.
remembers runners up. I mean, you're either first, you're either a winner, or you're not.
Mm,
Um, one of the things I was watching um, was, uh, I mean, there's almost this encouragement, generally speaking, that it's okay. to fail, right? And encouraging people to fail and allowing things to fail. I think even using the word fail is wrong. If you're learning,
mm,
you should encourage people to learn and make
mm,
sure it doesn't happen again.
mm,
You never encourage people to fail, in my
mm,
view. You
mm,
know, as in, it shouldn't be okay to fail. It might be okay not to get things right, and then get it right the next time. But the
mm,
very word fail is that you've done something. So for me, I think you're absolutely spot on. We need to win, and it's so funny though. It's so funny to see so many of the memes and the different videos, and there were some wonderful ones sent from sort of the Asian community. One of them is some an Indian Sikh playing the dole, so drums, and it's coming home. It's coming. Then there was another one of somebody else who had paused the the video on the screen and had prayed for them and give them bindi and things like that. Harry Kane, and she. And there's this great video. Anyway, it's good that everybody's getting involved. You know, all of the community. Look, the
mm,
one thing about it is that um, this is something that England needs. It's something that the UK needs, and it's just lifted so many spirits. As to whether should people be allowed to go mad and go crazy, we all need some respite. However, you need to do consider like the impact of sort of so many people coming to so many places. And I must admit, it was outrageous to see that the um, the fan zone in Newcastle. Did you see that?
mm, no.
So after the match, there were people in Newcastle, hundreds, if not thousands, of people next to Central Station, jumping on the top of buses, jumping on top of cars,
Mm.
preventing the police from doing stuff. And really, it was, you'd be quite scared if you were driving through that part of town.
Yeah, probably, but I think this is not any indifferent to what would happen. Whoever, whichever nation wins on Sunday, you can expect there to be lots of people out on the streets, and it's
I
not
think we need
something
to
that.
celebrate. Okay, I think we need to celebrate, but you shouldn't turn into a yob, should you?
Well, of course, and I think look, that's the one thing. Sadly, there's a little stigma on the English in that there is that yob culture, and that's the one thing that knocks me about celebrating. I mean, if you imagine you see all these, you can be passionate as the Italians are, but I mean, I don't know how much of a yob culture that there is because over the years, I think most of the hooliganism internationally, it was always the kind of British, the English was always at the forefront of that. Um, but then, you have a lot of supporters. They're very, very passionate. I mean, they're Italians, they're Dutch. Um, so,
Ah, I
so
must admit, sorry, John, I must admit, I was the Dutch supporters are just amazing. You
mm,
know, the Dutch, Netherlands, they're such beautiful people, so caring
yeah,
and so civil, and compassionate.
yeah.
And it was great to see them represented in such a degree. But I genuinely felt for them, um, and such like. So sorry, you were saying about the
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So look, let's hope that I think yeah, it is important you celebrate, you enjoy. I think the yob culture is something that really probably I don't know if you can eradicate that more, but I think it's the one thing that puts me off about um the kind of what you've just said. Yeah, you want to enjoy, but do it respectfully. and there's no need to have that. The yob culture needs to be stamped out over time, and there's been incidents in the past where black supporters have been kind of picked on because this is why you support England for and all that madness. I mean, you're always going to get a little bit of that, but
I'm
I think
losing some of your voice. Are you covering up the microphone?
or maybe I did them all. Even so, I think it's great for the nation, and let's hope that we're victorious on Sunday, and it's going to be one hell of a celebration on Sunday night. I think as far as COVID is concerned, um, the deadline is it the 19th that the restrictions are dropped anyway. So I
Yes.
don't think you're not gonna be able to. I don't think you know the police are going to be able to control any type of celebrations. Imagine if they were standing there to try and give fines to people, if those fines still exist. I'm not sure what the situation is on fines and all of that, but I think they might
Well,
struggle on
obviously,
Sunday.
I mean, it's still illegal. It's still law, but yes, there hasn't been any significant or substantive fines issued since the unlockdown of sort of third phase. The police were um, sort of advised, and look, it's a challenge for the police, right? They're trying to do the right thing whilst maintaining law and order, and equally ensuring that um, their reputation remains intact. And it's a big, big challenge. So, there won't be fines, absolutely not. And I'll be very shocked if there are. However, I say that from a personal point of view, not a professional one. So if you get a fine, please don't come and say, Ammar said I wouldn't get one. That's out. Um,
I think I think we can safely what's the word? What's the word that our
alleged, alleged.
alleged?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can allegedly um, point out that it's highly unlikely that you will get a fine if England win the Euros on a Sunday night for your celebrations.
Yeah.
But do celebrate being 2 meters apart from each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and and where will you be watching it?
I think I'm definitely going to just be at home. I
Are
like
you?
my yeah. I don't really.
You're not
I'm
going to
still
you go
well.
out?
I'm still very much. I prefer to know my social circles where I am. I think I'm comfortable at work. Because to be honest, you got to appreciate at the moment, Ammar. COVID is actually rampant at the moment in the northeast, and we've been suffering in at work, and so have lots of other operators because the track and trace apps is absolutely murdering businesses because you're getting people, and it's mainly within the student circle that they're just showing us messages that they get as a constant. Oh well, look, they go home or they go into their halls and they cross somebody, they get the message, comes to their app, they have to inform us, and they're isolating for 10 days, isolating for 6 days, isolating for 3 days, isolating for 4 days. And when it's an England match, they're definitely isolating because there's lots of pings coming to their phones for some reason. So and we're getting all the screenshots sent to us, and I'm pretty sure there must be someone at university that's obviously making their own screenshots of isolation for 3 days and sending it over to us just to take the night off work. So this is like a new way of if you look at it, and I'm not being cynical, but if you want to miss the England match, what do you do? Just ping the self isolation up to your bosses, and what can they say about it? There's not much that they can say. Well, hold on. Oh God, you're self isolating from COVID. Stay at home. Definitely don't commit to work. We'll manage however way we manage. So there is that is given hospitality incredible pain. There are a number of venues in the city that have shut down, and they have been shut down for like a stretch of like 8 to 10 days. So I think, like, going back to my original point, I think just understand the social circles, and make sure you're still safe, because as soon as you step out of your comfort zone in terms of your social circle, imagine you have the app, you're definitely going to get pinged because you don't know the movements of so many other people. So
So there
so,
was the app had been downloaded 27 million times or something like crazy like that,
mhm,
right? Um, However, people are turning off their Bluetooth and turning off certain aspects of it or deleting it
yeah,
on the very premise of what you're suggesting,
mm,
right? Now,
mhm,
now, um, in the last fortnight,
mhm,
this has affected so many more people and businesses that I
mm,
know of, including myself,
mm,
than ever before,
absolutely.
right?
It's like,
So it's like it's almost a case of, oh my gosh, like so for me and sharing this publicly, member of my staff, we all sit in different offices, we run a business center, we follow government guidelines. I've got one of these on my desk. No one sees anybody else with one of these with them. We've got like that everywhere in the business center, um, and all of our windows and everything else are open, nigh on permanently. Um, we're going over and above the guidelines now, right? Is what we're doing. But when one of my members of staff sent me a message saying, "Oh, I've just been advised that I've had a contact, so I've got to isolate, and I've got to do it for 10 days." It was like, what?
mm,
And then um, I've had more tests, like proper tests, in the last fortnight than I have done in the last sort of 6, 7 months,
mhm,
right? Because I just need to make sure and just validate. Now we do the sort of the lateral flow test thing and do all of that type of thing. That only tells you if you've got it. It doesn't tell you if you've getting it or if you've had it type thing.
mhm,
So um, and it needs to be at a particular point anyway. So that affected me here in the business, and we've got whilst I've got an expansive team of consultants who are great, my core staff, there's only sort of sort of 10 of us or so, and so that's like nearly 10, 20% of my workforce.
mm,
I've then got somebody on holiday. All of a sudden, there's like 30% of my workforce.
mhm,
And then all of these additional factors then drop in our 8-year-old being sent home from school because
mm,
somebody in the class um,
mhm,
has come into contact with somebody else, and their family has told them that. So the whole class got sent home. 500,000 kids got sent home last week.
mm.
500,000 kids,
That's crazy.
right? So I'm talking too, and I'm sat there thinking, all right, and don't forget, my wife is a solicitor, right?
Mhm,
Who's dealing with court cases.
mm,
All of a sudden, she's now got to look after this child at home
mm,
whilst dealing with court cases, right? And it's like, well, what can you do? You can't
mm,
have conversations in front of him, but it's
mm,
it's you can't do that. He
mhm,
obviously has his own needs, so then
mhm,
I'm having to lean in and all of that, which rightly so. Her job's far more important than mine. Um, and then challenge with all of this is I'm talking to consultant pediatricians, I'm talking to radiologists, pediatrician radiologists, I'm talking to senior medical staff who have had to change all of their shifts because the kids are at home
mm,
and the kids have been sent home and the kids don't have it. They've tested and it's everyone's negative, right?
mm,
So there's 5.5 million, 5.5 million people on a waiting list trying to get some treatment, right?
mm,
And you're talking about, and don't get me wrong, every business is important, of course it is. But I'm saying if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor in the middle of a pandemic, and your kid's being sent home, and you don't have any choice but to look after them because you have to look after them because you can't get somebody else to look after them because they're isolating. You can't send them anywhere. You can't get a babysitter in. You can't send them off to your grandparents and all of that. It's like, it is horrific.
Mm.
And then the perfect storm is the skills shortage. It's not just the skills shortage, Jeff. Jeff, there was a reduction. There was a 16% reduction in May for manufacturing of cars because we don't have enough chips, microchips,
Mm.
right? The economy as a whole was predicted to grow in May by 1.5%. It grew
Mhm.
by 0.8%. Some
Mhm.
of the sectors have gone back.
Well, because of the instability, that's the whole issue. Without stability, I mean, what can you do in business? It's so difficult for every single business out there because of the instability. How can you plan ahead and really go after business, and then all of a sudden you realize that 30% of your workforce is knocked down? You're just not going to be able to fulfill those needs, and it doesn't matter which sector you're in. So I think they need to. I mean, look, I mean, it's great that on the 19th there's some positivity and they're saying that it's going back to normal. I think my fear is, as an operator in the city, is that okay, fine, you're going to go back to some kind of normality, but what are you going to do about this track and trace app? And if that's not dealt with and they're not making a strong decision about it, I think it shouldn't be track and trace. It should be tested or something to do with you having a test, not just the fact that you've just crossed somebody and then your phone beeps and then you're off for 10 days. I think that is just going to cause chaos. Um, it's got to be, if you're COVID positive, um, that you got to stay at home. Not if you've just crossed somebody on the street. Um,
Well,
so
it's
that.
causing, you know, the challenge with all of this, Jeff, is that it's actually causing people to not do the right thing, right? Because you're worried. So I'll not have the app because if NHS ring me and say, I've got to stay at home, you've got to stay at home, it then becomes illegal.
Mm,
You know, it's enshrined in law. You have to stay at home,
mhm,
whether you've got it or not. I think you're
mhm,
absolutely right. I think, and there are changes adrift. You know, the suggestion is that if you've been double jabbed, which I think is fabulous, you know, as in because I've been double jabbed, so selfishly, I think that's
mhm,
what. You know, B, it allows us to go on holiday and come back and do those type of things, which would be amazing to be on holiday. Um,
mhm,
and see, you know, the going into the future, they're not going to, um, you know, children will not have to be sent home. And as long as you go home or tested, you know, I think it's, and you probably tested for a couple of days. After the 2 days, you can probably come back out. I think you know, that's a reasonable approach. However, for me, I agree with you 100%. It should be you get tested, you're negative, that's it. You know, as in you don't need to isolate. Um, and or you get tested, you've had the double jab, um, and you're all right, and you're not contagious, you know, then I think there's some element of that. They are saying, you know, I've got to say, you know, whether I agree or not with what um, government's approach is on lifting everything on the 19th, when in all honesty, if I was thinking about this selflessly and not thinking about my business or my life or my livelihood, and if I was thinking about it wholly independently, um, I'd be questioning that decision, to be honest, because as I've mentioned, for me, there's been more people impacted by it now than ever before that are closer to me.
mhm. Yeah, well, I feel the same in terms of the impact that we're noticing um, on a business level, and you just seem to you just I personally feel that it does seem to be rife at the moment, but on the same token, I think it's rife just because of the fact that X amount of people have downloaded the app and A, B, C, and D, and the app is the main thing why people are kind of getting these alerts and staying off. Is it really down to them actually having COVID? I don't think it is. And those that do have COVID, and I have asked a number of members that I know that have had COVID and asked them the question, I said, look, hold on. The fact that everyone seems to be getting in touch with COVID at the moment, what are your symptoms? Is it really severe? Are you actually out in bed? They said, no, it's just, it said, my test said I've got COVID, but actually my symptoms are not that severe, but I still, obviously, they still have to do their 10 days. So I'm wondering if the detecting, could it be, I don't know, I've not read this anywhere, Ammar, but could it be that if you've been vaccinated, then the track and trace, not the track and trace, the lateral flow is picking up the virus that's been instilled within the vaccine. Is that being detected as COVID? Because something seems to be,
Well,
it seems
okay.
to be.
Yeah, sorry. It's a good point, and part of the challenge with everything that we're dealing with, Jack, is we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
Now, the vaccine that I've had, and having researched all of the vaccines personally, and this is just a personal view, I'm the most comfortable with the one that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had the Oxford AstraZeneca, which uses traditional methodology. I mean, all of the vaccines now. The challenge with that one was that it's been in the press quite a lot, and it's apparently caused more significant issues separately. However, um, uh, uh, young people and other people were advised to take the other ones, regardless of whichever vaccine you're offered. For me, just take a vaccine, get vaccinated, and that's that. Problem that we have is we've gone from March 2020 to only being in July 2021. So technically, sort of 15 months, 16 months,
Yeah.
right? We've gone from 16 months to develop, design, develop, deliver sort of a series of vaccines that would traditionally take 10 years to do.
Oh, it's a very short period of time. I mean, you have to take your hat off to
Innovation.
the ministers that have made it happen on such a so fast. I mean, it's such a colossal task that they had in hand. They've done an incredible job.
And however, the challenge with all of that is we don't know. Now, I don't believe that any of the vaccines currently do, in fact, provide a positive result if you haven't got COVID,
Mm-hmm.
um, because of the prevalence of um, the virus in your bloodstream. So the Oxford AstraZeneca, the one that I've had, is in fact a shot with the virus incorporated into it. And so consequently, you'd naturally think that I would have a positive result um, because I've been given that vaccine. Um, However, it is such low levels that, um, excuse me, that I don't think it would. The challenge has primarily been people being told to isolate. So if that policy changes and people don't have to isolate when they haven't got it, then I think that'll be a significant help.
Uh-huh.
I think the other thing to recognise for us all, Jaff, is that the skills shortage that we haven't yet fully experienced. I'm getting a bit of feedback. Um, that we
Mm,
haven't fully experienced. I think it's off the studio. Um, that we haven't fully experienced will, in fact, um, come to the fore. So all of those Eastern European fellow wonderful people that have supported our economy for the last 10, 15 years, they primarily went back to Poland and wherever else and haven't returned.
mm. It's going to be it's a huge issue. It
So
really is. I don't know how they're going to tackle that, but it's a huge issue.
but it's not going to happen very quickly, is it? That's
Mm,
part of the problem. And to put that into context, Jaff, currently the challenges aren't just localized challenges, i.e., do you have staff as an employer who can come and work in your restaurant, come and work in your hotel, come and work in your care home, come and work in the leisure and hospitality. Now it's a case of can you get the goods from the border to your place? Because
mm,
there's a there's one of the largest shortages in HGV drivers.
mhm,
The trucks are now unable to get goods. And if you think that we've moved to a point in time where everything we're buying everything online,
I mean, and that's where you would have thought there was a natural shift.
you would have thought, what? You've gone on mute? Hello?
Am I on mute? I'm not
There
sure
you
what's
go.
happened. Yeah.
Hello?
Myra seems to be on mute.
No,
I don't seem to be on mute, am I?
only because I put
Sorry.
myriad
No,
on mute.
now that's gone. Now that I don't have that buzzing noise in the background at the moment, which is nice. I think over the last 15 months, there has been a steady shift towards a lot more people driving to do deliveries, whether it be for Amazon and all the other operators that are there. So I'm saying that the demand for that must be so big that there's still a shortage of drivers, as you've just
Well,
mentioned.
well, there is absolutely, and though that shortage of drivers is isn't just in regards to vans or cars, because anybody with a driving license, a full driving license, can in fact um, is able to drive a car or a small van. It
Mhm,
is those larger vehicles, which are heavy goods vehicles or HGVs, that
mm,
are in fact um, uh, have a skills shortage. So um, what that means is we're not getting the deliveries from one end of the country to the other.
mhm. And that's another huge problem for the
Well,
economy. I
it's
mean,
pushing up. Well, all of a sudden, right? If I'm Phoenix, or if I'm one of the big stores in Middlesbrough or wherever I am, and my goods come into Dover, and I
mm,
don't have the means to get them from Dover to here, and then um, from a road haulier point of view, right? I've got contracts in place to transport goods from one end of the country to the other. Now, naturally, I'm going to prioritize my biggest or bigger customers. Otherwise, I get penalized for not delivering their goods. So immediately it's those smaller type businesses that are going to start getting squeezed.
Mm. Well, I mean, it's just a constant cycle. I think for there to be that economic recovery, and with Brexit, I mean, it's just made that recovery so much more challenging than what it would have been otherwise.
I think so.
And I don't really know what they can do about it, because is anyone going to kind of swallow a bit of humble pie and just say that, look, we are going to have it? They can't even do it because of those, the treaties and the pacts that they would have in place. But really, part of this EU situation, whatever deals that they've come up with, but the one of kind of the movement of people should have been intact as it was. But obviously, that was the whole purpose of the whole Brexit argument.
Yeah.
So it's a horrific situation, and I think we will see the consequences of that, and we are feeling it already. But that consequences is going to be, it's not going to be resolved anytime soon. It needs like a long-term strategy to kind of fill it, to sort out these issues that we're experiencing on the ground.
Well, and as business owners and critical stakeholders, as local people, Jeff, we just simply need to um, start devising our own strategies and supporting the policies to address this. So that
Mm,
the whole skills shortage type of thing. Well, we should be using charities like the Pi Project charity, to equip early generation. So I'm talking about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds
mhm,
to um, start learning the skills of the future and the things that are going to be required. Everyone automatically assumes that all of these manual jobs are going to become redundant. But in essence, they might do. But we're talking about 100 and odd years before that happens. It's not going to happen in the next sort of decade where you can go somewhere and you don't need somebody to look after you or care for you.
mm,
All of these jobs. I mean, even from a retail point of view, whilst people might get more um, digitally orientated, and we've seen that you're still gonna need sort of an instant response reaction. There's always going to be. I personally like to go into a shop and see what I'm buying, and
of
one
course.
one of this whole online sales strategy, and it's a great tactic from their point of view, is that once you've ordered something and it turns up and it's rubbish, or it doesn't do what you wanted it to do, or it's like all of these online shops make everything look so big. You get it, and it's like that big, and you're thinking, what was all that about? It's crazy, crazy. So they're reliant upon you not wanting to return it because of the chore it is.
Yeah, of course, and they make it so difficult to return. All the return policies are right at the back, the small print, and they make it so hard. To be honest, I can't even bother to return anything.
Well, this is so. If you can't and I can't, we're
Yeah,
not alone,
yeah, of course. There is no returns going on.
right? So, well, no, there will be, but all I'm saying is what a great ploy. So, how can you address that? Well, actually, it's by going into a shop and seeing what you can buy and get
Mm,
those things. The challenge with that is I've I've been trying to get into a shop for the last 2 weeks. I just haven't got the time.
mm,
I don't have the time to jump in the car,
yeah,
drive to town, compete with trying to find a parking space, and
yeah,
then go into the shop and not know for certain that they've got what I'm looking for to then come back. That's
yeah.
2, 3 hours of my day. I don't have that.
That's a whole difficulty now, isn't it? It's a change of perception as well.
Definitely. Well,
But it's sad. It's really sad. I think the city centre. I don't think it's ever going to be the same. The shops are never going to be the same, and I think it was a part of life that maybe is it's not going to become that important for the next generation. I don't know,
Mm.
but I think the hustle and bustle of shopping and meeting people in town and all of that stuff, it was just part of life, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely there's going to be some social changes for sure. The last 15 months is going to have its say on the new world that we're going to be kind of living in, and the dynamics of it all.
And it is challenging. We do need to contend with this, and we do need to try and support um, you know, our local communities. I think there is going to be a shift in how things are done and where they're done. There's a lot of onshoring going on now. This is where businesses had traditionally manufactured internationally, and um, now the cost of transport and the challenges of transport alongside the environmental impact. So people are becoming a lot more concerned about the environment of transporting, making goods in across the other side of the world and bringing them back, that they're looking at the ethical value of manufacturing and producing goods here. So there is that. The problem with that is the cost of doing so is still significantly higher than getting them made somewhere else and shipping them in. But
Mm,
I think that there is that shift, and that's a positive shift. I think we need to encourage that. Is what we need to do, and support the government from a strategic point of view, locally as well as nationally, should start looking at how might we provide significant manufacturing opportunities and plants where they're multi-level, different types of manufacturing. So whether it's packaging, whether it's products, whether it's whatever it is, are being made here, and the supply chain allows you to order something from here and get it to wherever you want it to be locally, and create those jobs and create that economy which is self-sufficient and self-supporting, and almost encourage them, because sort of exporting to happen from us as opposed to importing. Now, that's a slightly different conversation. But in essence, Jack, there's
mm,
a huge opportunity for us to shift and do some generational shift and platform our Northeast and create the opportunities of the future alongside supporting local businesses. I think
mm.
it's exciting.
Yeah, well, it is for sure. Just grabbing the right opportunity, understanding post COVID where the big opportunities are, and I think some people are already kind of identified the big opportunities and probably create so many new businesses in the back end of COVID as well.
um, and and supporting those businesses. So I was talking to um, FOP advisory. I have a regular catch up just to see how what's happening, state of affairs, and I was asking them, oh, how is the environment? So they do insolvency and all of those type of things, and it was interesting because their view is that at the minute, the thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of businesses are still propped up by all of that support. So furlough, the growth funds, the loans, the credit, um, and they're now looking at November time
Mm,
for for when everything, all of the support that's on offer comes to an end, a business
mm,
will then be forced to sort of liquidate.
mm-hmm,
So we're still in this false economy
mm, mm,
where it feels as if growth is happening significantly, substantively. I mean, the property sector has seen such a boom. It is incredible. However, when people start closing businesses down and people are forced out of the jobs, sad state of affairs, there will be a recession.
mm. Well, yeah, it's going to be what it is. I think we have to be prepared that that whilst COVID times have been so disruptive to the businesses, it's not the end of it, and the long-term payback that we all have to be a part of. It's how many years? It's, they can give you a COVID bill for the next 50 years, and who would begrudge it? You're not even going to have anything to say about it. The amount of trillions of pounds. Well, it must be over £1 trillion that's been borrowed to keep the economy afloat and keep people's, the furlough scheme on ABC and the. I mean, it's incredible where all this money has come from. It's absolutely incredible.
Oh, I
Because
mean, the amount of money that's been given and that we've borrowed as a government. We've never borrowed as much as we have done, ever.
I think it's frightening about how much money it's been borrowed. I mean, it's frightening when you think that it has to be paid back, and how do you pay it back?
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly. And it's going to come and hit all of us and our future generations is what's going to happen. But in essence, it is what it is. Do I disagree with it? I think we had to do what we had to do. And, hindsight's a great foresight, isn't it? Dead easy to look back and go, well, we should have done this and should have done that and should have done that. We didn't know. There's a whole range of things that if I'd looked back even 6 months ago, I probably might have done some different things. But anyway, from a business point of view, I've said this, that our SME Centre of Excellence is just growing and growing and growing. People need business support. We are now recognised as one of the best deliverers of business support programs, so accelerator, pre-accelerator, investor readiness, scale programs, bringing together some of the best people across the north of England to support businesses. So that, from that point of view, there's growth and and it's great to be able to support businesses even in this environment. And it's what's incredible to see though, Jaff, is the amount of businesses that are doing okay and that are doing, they have these ambitions and business owners or really growing. But the flip side for me is, and I'm really open and honest about this, is the property sector from a rental and sort of student rental and international student rental is horrific. That is suffering quite substantively, and I'll continue to suffer from that. But in essence, that's where diversity, having a portfolio of different interests, helps that to happen. But we've knuckled down, we've made things more efficient, we've adapted and adopted digital, and we're working with some really good people. And this is one thing that you've always been a huge advocate of, is making sure you get the best technical advice and support. That's why you've gone out and got the world's best chef, and you've gone out and got the best marketing companies, and you've got the best, you've always relied on the very best, haven't you?
Well, I think if you think about it from a business practice point of view, Ammar, if you've got certain skill set, but you just need to be, it's quite easy just to get the best around you, because the overall product they're going to deliver is going to be the absolute best, and they're going to cover for the expertise that you don't have yourself. And I think no one should think, I certainly don't think that I know everything about everything, because I don't. That's why you get the experts in their recognized sectors to be a part of your mix, be a part of your team, and ultimately that's the only way you can deliver an outstanding product. And if you want to deliver something on the local scale, then maybe it's work with locals. If you want to develop something on a regional scale, work with the best in the region. And if you want to deliver something on a national stroke international scale, then you have to work with individuals that are at that scale. So if you want to make a national impact, you must work with nationally known or nationally reputable individuals that understand that. And I think, so businesses, it's not difficult when you think on those lines. So if you work with the best, you can deliver the best. And if you're kind of if you're not bold enough because of the budgets and stuff, then you're not going to get that reward, are you? You're going to do something on a much smaller scale, which will make less impact because people they bought something to you with there's a restriction on the knowledge and the expertise that they have.
Yeah.
So
And that's exactly it. As in, now, whilst I've always got an open door, I can't afford to give all of my time away. So I'm sort of stepping down from certain roles, significant roles. So I'm standing down as the chair of the Institute of Directors locally, um, only because it's a great institute, but actually I'm in so much demand that I need to balance what to put, and I still give away at least 2 days a week, um, and I need to try and my ambition is to continue trying to do that, but I've equally got the bills to pay and things like that. So as businesses and more significant and substantive businesses are now reaching out to me and saying we would like to get your expertise, get your experience, and pay you to do that. Being recognised as one of the best business support individuals across the north of England is wonderful. And whilst I cannot compete with you, Jaff, as being the best restaurateur in the world, I'm happy to do so locally and happy to play my part. But no, it is, you get pretty much you get what you pay for within reason, because it's not always about price, it's about expertise, it's about experience, and
it is.
it's about impact. So I know lots of people who go, well, I'm the best at this and I've done this, and I'll go, right, well, what have you really done? And when you ask them that difficult question, well, I've worked with lots of people and I'm going, right, but what did you do for them? As in numbers is one thing.
Yeah.
It's the
I think you will find though, when someone has got that raw talent and they are good, when you go to them, they are going to charge you mind-blowing prices, and it's a matter of whether you feel that they're going to deliver what you want.
Absolutely.
So
Right. We're coming up to the end of the show. England, it's coming home. It's coming home.
for sure Sunday.
Yeah. And until
And
next week, it's goodbye from me.
goodbye from me.
Right. I'll see you over the weekend. Yeah.
All right, Ammar.
And have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.